individually. The Hard Time Podcast is for entertainment purposes only and is not affiliated with any entity, agency, or department. Human beings have thoughts and feelings that do not necessarily affect the professional performance of their duties.
Ladies and gentlemen, the story you are about to hear is true. The names have been changed to protect the innocent.
An inmate attacked a correctional officer in St. Louis County this week after he refused to go back to his cell.
This is what we have to deal with inmates like that. Everybody has an opinion, about what goes on and stuff in here, but 9 times out of 10, if anybody that has anything negative to say about a correctional officer, they never even been in the facility, never been inside of the jail.
They have 24/7 to sit there and come up ways to outsmart them. So they always want to try, but we've got to be proactive.
Still remain professional and do a job.
Officers being praised for their quick actions. Lake County Sheriff says, quote, they are heroes in my books.
Regular day at the office.
Welcome to Hard Time Live. This is Jake. Bear with me while I'm trying to get this all going here. There we go. Welcome, John.
I like the classic long intro. I like the intro that takes an hour and a half to do.
Well, it's one of the ones that I had queued up. I was like, this way I'll use at least, a minute and a half of our live time. This is strange now seeing myself in widescreen. John's in mobile unit 2 currently. So welcome everybody to Hard Time Live. John, thanks for joining us in short notice.
I'm just a guy happening.
We have a little bit of news from that corrections officer involved shooting that happened where tragically the instructor lost his life. So we have a little bit of news on that. I have some news out of Georgia that I'm going to cover here in a little bit, but and then of course we're going to take your questions. I have some questions Reagan sent me a while back, way before I was going to do a live back in November. So life's been kind of fucked lately, so it's taken me a while to get here. I appreciate you guys' patience allowing me to do another live, give you guys some more content. Dana's joining us now.
Dana is also taking questions.
Will Cray just said dog alert, so it's not phrased in the form of a question. Will Cray.
That is, yeah, you have just forfeited this round of Jeopardy. It's not a good look.
So we have Gear Goons and Shamrock Bill Bonds with us, also on Instagram.
That's cool that we have people I've never heard of before. Welcome.
Well, the Gear Goons channel I've been on before.
I'm aware of them, yeah.
I think we've both been on. So
that was the Shamrock Bail Bonds that I don't know anything about. Of course, Gear Goons is not going to be surprised at all that I'm on the show whilst driving, because that's the only time I ever do any of these things. Just preemptively answering his question, yes, I'm going to Red Lobster.
The Crimson Crustacean.
I'm actually going to the gym and then going to work, but it's funnier if I say I'm going to Red Lobster.
Yes, getting cheese biscuits instead of doing squats.
Don't call them cheese biscuits. Call them Cheddar Bay biscuits.
Cheddar Bay?
Yeah.
That's the proper term.
Yeah. I hate to be such a Nazi about it, but in my defense, have you met me?
And also, yes.
Yeah, we've all met you.
I was just thinking about your comment the other day about not having kids and stuff, and I was like thinking about a little John, like just like a 2-year-old with a beard walking around, and how he would be like awkward but also verbose at the same time somehow.
I very pissed off to hear that you think I'm verbose. Brevity is the soul of wit, so I must be something of an insipid dullard if I'm able to just carry on this way. Sorry to bother you. Sorry to bother you with my hours of podcasting friendship.
Well, I just think I don't know. It's just interesting the way that you can wax poetic about the littlest things.
Yes, I am sort of a genius. I'm going into the post office. Can you guys handle this one until I get back?
Yep, we can handle it.
These are magnets for the Com Center subscribers. So I've got one here for Salamander, Tyler, Heather, and Chase.
Nice.
No one else asked for them.
All right. If you need another one, get in John's DMs.
It's too late. I'm at the post office. I'll let you look at the dog while I'm gone.
Okay. We'll chat with Dana while you're gone. So here's I have my hard time magnet that John graciously sent me. Hi, Foxy. Thanks for joining us, Jenny. Did any of you guys have any questions for myself or Dana? She has the headphones on, so she should be ready for you. While you think about that, let me pull up some of the questions that Reagan had for me. She asked, what do I do when the hardest part of the job is not the inmates, but your coworkers / superiors? So I know personally, my superiors that I work directly for administration. So it's not too bad where I'm at. I do remember being an officer and like constantly being in fear for my job because of one particular supervisor that always seemed to have some kind of problem with whatever was going on, and made it sound like my job was in jeopardy all the time. And then what was interesting is after becoming a supervisor, I realized just dealing with admin, that's just kind of how she is, like, and everybody knows it. So I don't think my job was in jeopardy nearly as often as I thought it was. But yeah, dealing with coworkers can be difficult. Now she's my subordinate, and I have people working under me. That's the difficult thing, being like in middle management, being in between, constantly dealing with very childish, like high school like problems and stuff with officers and everything. It's just dealing with one situation at a time. The nice thing is, it seems like if anybody is a huge problem, they end up sort of weeding themselves out over time. Either they end up, fucking up to the point where they get relieved, or they end up leaving. So if you really love your job and love the profession, keeping your head down. I'm just careful trying to find it.
The whole time. I'm so proud of you. I'm so proud of you. Oh, you're the best. Oh, you're the best. I'm so proud of you. I love you so much. I'm so proud of you. Oh, sorry. You're doing a show right now.
No, it's okay. Okay.
Guess what? Tyler's not getting his shit because they said the post office is on strike in Canada, so he's not getting shit. I still have it.
They won't even accept it.
No, they would accept it. And I said, well, what happens to the mail in Canada? And they said, it just goes into a big pit. And I said, well, I'm just not going to send it then. What did I miss? Did Dana do a good job?
She did. She was just sitting there looking around. She was listening to me. She was like, what is this guy on about?
Is anybody actually watching the show right now? I can't see anything.
It does. I have 3 people. It says joined us on Instagram, but it doesn't show any buddy currently on. But we have Will Cray, Fox, and Jenny Foxy on YouTube.
Oh, okay.
So we do have a few people listening live, and I'm gonna excuse me, turn this into a show that people can listen to later. So if they miss the live,
they can get all that good Dana commentary.
Yeah. Well, that's the bonus Dana content. I didn't know I was going to have Dana content. I would have put it in the description.
Now, who do you like to podcast better? Because she's not very verbose.
Yes, she's very demure.
You know, Dana's available.
So she just needs what? Belly rubs and treats?
Ah, fuck. I forgot to bring the treats today. You don't get any treats. I forgot my coat, too, so we're all fucked, if that helps you feel better.
She gonna run on the treadmill while you work out?
She's gonna stay in the truck. She's gonna suffer while I'm bench pressing, and then later she'll come into work with me.
Falk says Dana's a good girl, so stop it, John.
Stop what? Foxy just always sides against me no matter what.
No matter what.
All right. I gotta stop at the grocery store too.
So
what should I eat for supper?
So is this what a ride along with dispatcher is like?
No, because I'm not speeding. I will be soon though if you want me to.
Well, for legal purposes, I can't encourage you to speed. There'll be an accessory.
I'm pretty sure that you are somewhere in the southeastern United States. I'm not too worried about it.
That's true. I don't think they're going to come for me. I'm under an assumed name and all. Oh, well, yeah. I was just covering some questions that Reagan had actually sent me. She asked what to do when the hardest part of the job is not the inmates, but your coworkers or superiors.
What is your answer?
I had sergeants that I dealt with before that were very difficult, that made me think my job was in jeopardy and things like that. And it was just kind of like, I just kept my head down and toughed it out. I didn't really confide in people at work or anything. I was very careful about that. And, you know, they kind of weed themselves out over time. Like people end up leaving either on their own accord or getting fired or whatever if they're being that difficult. I know it's like the typical male response is like, just put your head down and plow through it. But that's what I've done in the past. And realizing too that a lot of times when people say stuff, it's just one perspective on it. You know, the cadre and stuff could have a different perspective of what's going on. It's not always, it's there's a lot of gossip and stuff that goes on. It doesn't mean that anything's factual.
Do you want to hear my answer?
Sure.
Well, I don't know. It's your show.
Yeah, go for it.
There's nothing that you can do. You even really can't. Don't make the mistake that I made and let people know that you don't like them and that you don't approve of their being, you know, bad coworkers or bad shift commanders or whatever. It's probably like this in all walks of life. I'm just not aware of it because I haven't walked in a lot of life. But Corrections is very backstabby, and it's very much about, who are your friends versus who's not your friend. And it sounds terribly cliche. You're going to be like, why is this even advice? It's not advice. But I offered it as advice because I was too stupid to not pay attention to it. But it's like, you got to keep your friends close, but your enemies even closer. You have to pretend that you like the people that you don't like, and you have to keep a close eye on them, and you have to almost be buddy with them, which for somebody like me, who even hates having normal friends, was very tough. I didn't like doing it, and I wasn't very good at it. But when you go around and you let people know that, like, hey, I think you're a coward, or I think you're morally corrupt. It paints a target on your back, and it's particularly if you go on any position in authority, like, people go after you. They try to take your legs out from underneath you. And in corrections, you're going to be in some sort of situation where that's going to happen. It's not always going to be your fault, but somebody always, unfortunately, wants to take you out in this world. That was my experience, at least. So what do? If the worst part of your job is your coworkers? Kind of like what you said, is you have to tolerate it for as long as you can tolerate it. And for Reagan specifically, I have this advice. You are stronger, you are smarter, you are faster. Frankly, you're better looking than most correctional officers. I mean, get a load of Jake here. You could go do a lot of other things, and corrections is for people like me who can't do a lot of things. And so I would say tolerate it as long as you want to, but don't wait too long. You've been a correctional officer for easily a year now. If my memory serves you correctly, you're at least going up on a year. Hang in there 6 more months, and then start looking at other stuff. Look at parole, look at probation, reconsider being a police officer. Try to go to the case management side, but don't stay in the role that you're in too long, because specifically to Reagan, you're just built better than the rest of us, and I want to see you succeed.
Yeah, that's good. And I had to do that even in the trades, just become kind of a bobblehead for some people and just listen to, like, it seems like there's some of those people that are just miserable and they want to be a miserable son of a bitch no matter what. They're not happy unless somebody else is unhappy.
Mm-hmm.
So I would just kind of nod my head and say, yeah, I hear you. I hear what you're saying, not necessarily joining in, but just try to commiserate a little bit with those people, and you'd be surprised how you can get along with even some very difficult people. But
just don't tell them every day with your face to go to hell, because that's what I did. This was me.
Falksy says her toddler bullies her. What is she supposed to do?
Toddlers are all id, right? They're all driven by impulse and what they can take and keep for themselves. They're like cavemen or Eagles fans, but they don't have certain things to their advantage. Mostly height. Take that which they love so well, whatever that would be, an iPad, candy, and simply put it out of their reach. And it's not to broker a deal or anything. It's just to torture them back.
Well, and you need to remember too, because
it's my. Go ahead.
I was going to say toddlers are very small, so they're very easy to get. You can drop kick them quite easily.
I forgot. Violence is always. Oh, I forgot. Violence is always the number one answer. Can I change my answer to violence?
You can do that. Jeannie said she put hers in a giant Amazon box and tape it shut. That also works. Just give them an Amazon box.
She said give a beer to the children?
A beer. That was my other advice. Give the child a beer. It's hard to be upset at life when you have a comfortable buzz, I've found. So it's just like we say in corrections, if you don't have to drink to work here, we'll teach you. It's okay. Okay, John, what are your tips on housing famous people with influence?
Do you think that ever came up even one time here on the moon?
Well, you had a assassin at one point, right?
We had hitmen, but like they were just private contractors. I don't think they were famous. What assassin did we have?
Well, that was what I was referring to. Your hitman. That was it the presidential assassin or attempted assassin?
He was an attempted assassin. He attempted to attempt.
Oh.
So he wanted to leave from where we are to drive to Washington, D.C. to assassinate President Obama.
Hmm.
However, we all know how this goes, right? You have a big quest, right? Like you got to get all the pieces of the Triforce to rescue Princess Zelda. But you get bogged down in all this other little petty shit. Like you're cold and tired, so you break into a house and you murder a 75-year-old woman by knifing her, and then you sleep next to her bloody corpse in the bed, and then you're rounded up by the local authorities before you can even really make a lot of headway. He wanted to kill Obama, though. And how do I deal with guys like that? He was higher profile, I admit it. How do I deal with it? Well, I'll let you learn from my mistakes. Number one, prevent his suicide. Whoops. Whoopsie daisy.
Oops.
That's the end of that story. Sorry. It's not a very good story. You ever wonder why I never told that story? Because the guy died.
You're just saving it for this live. That's all.
I should have done more like, I should have Tarantino did. You know, like he's hanging from the noose and you're like, you know, I just wanted to kill Barack Obama, but I won't appear instead. Crazy story. Bet you're wondering how I turned up here.
Yep, and then go back to the beginning. Or you could do the alternate ending where he doesn't end up killing himself and what happens next.
You ever seen the movie Sunset Boulevard?
No.
Great movie. The protagonist and the narrator dies at the end of the movie, and he's just like, I know what you're thinking. How can I narrate this film if I died? Well, them's the breaks in sunny South Los Angeles. And that's literally how the movie ends. And it's just like, it's good of you to acknowledge that we shouldn't have ever been able to hear you narrating this movie because you died. It's like floating in a pool. So, like, you think he's going to get fished out and he's going to be okay, but no.
Nope, he's dead.
I would have rather had them not acknowledge it. Just like, I'm dead and I'm a ghost and I'm looking back on what happened on Sunset Boulevard. It just goes to teach you a lesson, though. Don't fall in love with the women that you're preying on for money.
I'll keep that in mind. You're just full of tips this morning.
You write it down.
David J is joining us.
What's up, David J?
Yeah. Where I'm at, we have some high profile, as far as local cases, because if somebody gets arrested for, a high profile murder or whatever, and it's a juvenile, there's only so many facilities they can go to in the entire state. So we'll get a lot of questions and stuff from the media. They'll be calling up. We'll get questions from other family members looking for information. It's pretty boring. It's pretty much like the advice goes, don't share any information. Refer them to administration or your public affairs or whatever you have. And as far as dealing with the actual inmate, sometimes we have to have them separated because of the crime. But other than that, we always treat them the same. It's the same old thing, being probably even more cautious about being, following the letter of the law as far as your rules and regulations and stuff. So not terribly exciting dealing with our high-profile inmates.
Yeah, just referring to the public information officer, I would love to talk to the correctional officer who took Trump's booking photo at the Fulton County Jail, particularly now that he's president-elect. I just wonder, like, did he print out extra copies and get signatures?
Are there alternate looks before he fixes hair? You know,
Flying.
I don't know how many he got, because he did get a pretty good scowl there. So I don't think he made too many copies. I wouldn't think.
I just love that moment in time because it was when the liberals thought they were going to win. So, like, he's going to jail. And even as you scour throughout the internet, like, I was slightly updating our intro theme so that it contained the sound of a door closing. And so I was trying to find an example of the sound effect. And someone wrote on it, haha, just perfect for Trump. But it's just like, he's never going to prison, dude. You were a fool to believe that.
Yeah.
Of course, Biden's never going either, because he just pardoned 8,000 people. You realize it's like Weekend at Bernie's, right? And people are just picking up his hand and just signing to get every single person that they know of to get them out of trouble.
They're pardoning themselves, probably.
Yeah, they are. And there's so much pay for play right now because it's like, hey, man, when you do this for me, I literally have Joe Biden's hand right here. They'll take a selfie of it. They're like, just say something and I'll write your name down, sign underneath, you're good to go. That's exactly what's going on right now. He has, I think, quadrupled the number of people that Obama has pardoned, and including, here's where like it relates to our show, a Chinese child pornographer. Why did we pardon that guy?
Yeah. What kind of dirt does he have on them, and why are they associating with?
I don't know. I mean, there could be like some bigger like diplomatic shit in there. You know, kind of like how we got back Brittany Griner.
Yeah, that wasn't a very good trade.
Chinese. Yes. I just want to remind everyone what they've been mad about for 4 years. So remember Brittany Griner? That happened.
Yeah, and then the guy they traded for her ended up in Syria selling arms within like 2 weeks. So
yeah, how many people lost their lives because of that deal? And
right.
They might have lost their lives anyway, but now the United States had a hand in it. So if you get back a fucking quote unquote professional athlete, female basketball player who thought she could take marijuana to Russia and have no problem with that.
Yeah. In her
grinder. I'm just still mad about it.
It's okay. Chase is joining us.
Hey, Chase, I just dropped off your envelope at the post office. You didn't give me your last name, so I wrote Chase Fireman Fighter on it.
That works. Okay, Foxy has a question for you. She said, "What would John do to need a pardon? Be mean to Dana? Have you done anything else pardon-worthy?
I've committed no federal. So,
okay.
I've copied a lot of movies.
Yeah, I may have to. I may need it for the mayhem. But other than that, I think I'm okay.
Is that a federal crime?
I would hope so. So, John, her last question was, what do you do when inmates have more freedom than correctional officers on the job?
Whose question is that?
That's Dana or Reagan's.
Dana is my dog. Reagan, what do you do when they have more freedom? Again, you're not going to like the answer, but it's like all that stuff is set by admin, and admins being bullied by the ACLU, but in California, which is where I venture to guess that you're working, it's a cultural thing. And if you want to work in an environment where you're safer because of the rules, you have to just go to a different environment. I'm sorry that like the answers for you are like find a different place to work, because I know you work in a prestigious agency, but it's also fairly leftist, and lots of people are leaving California, and you can too.
Yeah.
Of course, here on the moon, my old agency is getting very leftist and very they don't stand up to inmates either. So it's almost like a problem of our entire profession at this point.
Right. Yeah, it's just kind of the way it is. And like you said, looking at for alternatives. The nice thing about the being in corrections is, it could be a door to another, like you said, another career, getting into something else. Other associated agencies that you work with.
That said, I always hated when people called corrections a stepping stone, as if no one would ever want to land on corrections. Like it's always on the way to somewhere else. There's more prestigious correctional agencies that you should go to. But you know what I see? You know what I see for Reagan? I see her as a deputy U.S. Marshal.
Yeah. Kicking down
Do you know they only work 8 to 5 apparently. Last night I had to interact with U.S. Marshals, and they were like, he called me. He sounded very sleepy, and it was only 9 p.m. Their office hours are 8:30 to 5. Not even 8 to 5, but 8:30 to 5. They roll in late. So my answer to Reagan is if you're tired of closing cell doors and you want to bust some doors open, maybe go federal. It's a good time to go federal, I think. I think federal's about to start doing some very good work. I think where you're at, I don't know where in California you're at, but maybe there's some federal agencies there that you could get on with. Maybe Border Patrol, I don't know. But I guess I would just say, like, wherever you're at in your career, don't make the mistake where you're staying there forever. Like Jake, he'll never be anything more than he is now. I'll never be anything more. In fact, I get substantially reduced by life as we go. But you, there's the cop who doesn't like it when I drive around with my phone in my hand. He's about to call me, I'm sure, again. But that is a true story. It was literally right here where the last time he caught me on my phone. But spend 18 months on a job, 18 to 24 months, and then move on. I don't know if you suffer from this, but I used to have this belief that like your resume should be solid with like a long work history. But if you're trying to move up, your resume should not show that you stay in any one place for a terribly long time. You should stay there long enough to master the job and to show some loyalty for it. But again, I think that time frame is 18 to 24 months before you're ready for the next thing. Particularly, no offense to us, but a correctional officer position is seen as an entry-level job. So I don't think anyone's going to like begrudge you for moving on to something with more pay or prestige.
Right.
So by next summer, all of your problems should be solved by you getting another job, either higher up in your agency, another agency in your area, or just by being all you can be, Reagan.
Well, these questions are about a month old, so maybe things have improved for Reagan since then. Maybe she has new questions for us. I'm not sure. But.
No, she's reached out to me and she's told me that things really suck donkey balls there lately, and I understand why.
Oh, okay.
Come back on the show. You know what you could also do? You could replace me. Real subtle, John. I think I told her just the other day that she should replace me on the podcast. And I know what you're thinking, but John, that would hurt my feelings so bad. Do you realize how cool it would be to have like a, hypothetically attractive, spunky, energetic, wise-ass girl? Like every correctional officer loves that type of person. They don't love me. I wasn't beloved. You want this podcast to take off. Need some tits, you know what I mean? Also, she's really smart and a better correctional officer than I ever was, but I did focus on the tits a little bit. Sorry, Reagan.
Well, I'm sure she's going to love to hear this when she listens.
Don't listen to this. I'll tell her not to listen.
David J asks, what do I do if someone yells at me to toe the line?
You're in the Navy. You better damn well tow it. You can go to prison for not towing the line.
The line for non-sailors is just a fancy word for a rope.
Tell him to do what he needs to do to get his retirement. The end. He knows that. He works less than the U.S. Marshals do. This isn't even a time of war. You shouldn't even be asking for advice.
Davey works in the Navy.
Why aren't people working right now? It's like definitely work time in America.
Well, Chase agrees with you. He likes your take on things.
He likes my tits take.
He didn't say what he said. You're probably not wrong. I'm not sure if he was talking about the tits or just your takes.
Listen, she doesn't have to take them out. She doesn't have to talk about them. What I'm saying is that girl energy is what a podcast needs. I would love to have a podcast with a girl.
I know. If we've asked other girls to join our podcast permanently, but we can only get them to guest star.
Well, I used to do a podcast, a true crime podcast with a girl, and I thought it was a good podcast, and I would like to start doing that again. Do you have any comments on that, or?
No, I was looking forward to you guys teaming up again to do that. I like the true crime stuff.
We're not teaming up again. Last time I saw her, she was getting into a hot air balloon right before Hurricane Lane.
So she's probably blown to parts unknown now.
Blown's right, old friend.
David J says he's not even working today. He says wives don't count.
Why don't you work? What days does the Navy work on? Why don't you work on a Tuesday? Is it because you have to work on a Sunday to make up for it, or?
Yes, I don't know. Chase says to work, but they can't make him do anything at work, so he's just here. He's joining us. Fireman fighter listening to a podcast.
All of our weeks have low points. I understand that.
Right. Well, it's like our jobs. We're paid to be there, but not necessarily be busy all the time. So,
actually, Las Mujeres, who's frequently in the comm center chats, she sent me this link, something she wanted me to click on because she saw a UFO, and I didn't care. So I told her that I couldn't click on any links because I was on the work Wi-Fi and I didn't want my work to see where I'm browsing. But she was chatting me on Instagram. She goes, "Oh, but they know you're on Instagram." I'm like, "Yeah, they know I'm here." She goes, "Well, you're gonna get, I'm not paid to be busy. I'm paid to be good when I am busy. You can't be mad that no work needs to be done. Nobody's dying. The police officers aren't pulling anyone over. Cops aren't serving any warrants. Nothing's on fire. I got all the background checks done. I did everything I was supposed to do. I pulled all the audio from the investigator's office. After that, I'm going to sit on my ass until something terrible happens. I think that's okay. Same for you. If all the inmates are just sitting in their cells, chilling, watching TV or whatever they do.
Yep. When life's good, when it's easy, it's easy.
And then when it's not, that's why I get paid as much as I do.
Yeah. We had one of the members of admin actually got headbutted yesterday.
It's nature's perfect little arc right here. It was definitely designed to strike other people with. It's very strong shape.
Yeah. Yeah, he got busted in the lip by one of our difficult inmates, but I'm just looking at this because it's a county jail, not prison. He probably will be with us for a few more weeks, maybe a month, and then we can look forward to him not being around. So be somebody else's problem.
Yeah, but don't worry. You get rid of somebody like this, somebody be around to take his place.
Oh yeah, for sure. Well, with
Doesn't
your
matter when you
permission,
get rid of a shithead. There's always one more.
right? I just like to enjoy the brief periods between shitheads whenever that happens. With your permission, John, I could read this article, this update on that fatal shooting.
You've got to read it in an energetic voice. Make these people believe you.
Okay. Firearms instructor.
You can't just merely read it. You have to make it a story.
Okay, I will do my best. Firearms instructor pleads guilty in fatal shooting at Ohio during CO training. David Pearson was performing a mirror drill at Correction Training Academy's firing range when he fired a live round at Lieutenant Rodney Osborne, killing him. Orient, Ohio. A former Ohio firearms instructor has pleaded guilty in connection to the deadly shooting at another officer during a training exercise, records show. Former Ohio Department of Rehabilitation and Corrections Operations Commander David Pearson of Westchester pleaded guilty December 9 to negligent homicide in the April 9th death of 43-year-old Lieutenant Rodney Osborne. Pearson had initially pleaded not guilty to the charge on August 8, court records show. Pearson has accepted responsibility, and we are preparing for his sentencing on the misdemeanor charge. Attorney Kevin Lennon told McClatchy News in a statement December 10th. Osborne was shot and killed.
Huh?
Yeah, it's a misdemeanor. Osborne was shot and killed during a training exercise at the Corrections Training Academy tactical firing range, McClatchy News previously reported. After noticing Osborne was struggling to draw his gun from his holster and aim it correctly, Pearson said he performed a mirror drill with him that involved standing face-to-face and having Osborne mirror his actions. When Pearson pulled the trigger on his pistol, he's accused of firing a live round, striking Osborne in the chest, the outlet reported. Pearson told investigators he believed his gun had blank ammunition. According to the investigative report by the Ohio State Patrol, Pearson said, "I thought it was clean. I thought it was clear. I wanted to help him," Pearson said, according to the outlet. "I just wanted to make him better." Pearson was fired by the Ohio Department of Rehabilitation and Correction, effective September 3rd, citing numerous employee conduct violations in connection with the fatal incident. A sentencing date has not been set. Osborne worked for the Southern Ohio Corrections Facility for 13 years and was named its Employee of the Year before his death, McClatchy News previously reported.
That's how it always goes. They're always Employee of the Year.
Yep. Employee of the Year and then out the door the next. Well, that explains a little more of the details of how it happened. I've never heard of a mirror drill where you point your gun at the other person.
I've never heard of that either, but there was somebody who listened to our show somehow who heard us talk about it, who's close to the case. I don't know if they're a subscriber. In fact, I'd be willing to bet that they aren't, but maybe I should, you or me or somebody, meaning probably one of us, we should put out a brief statement on it or something to everybody and encourage them to reach out to see if they know any more about what's going on, because on a prior occasion they reached out to me and I didn't share everything that they told me because it's not my place to do that, but they gave me quite a few opinions on the case, and I'm curious to hear their opinions now. Maybe they'll reach out to me in advance. I'm not sure, but it's good to know that he's not fighting it. I mean, he's got constitutional rights to do that, and I wouldn't begrudge him by going through the trial process. You know, that's what the system is there for, to protect everyone's rights. But, you know, we live in an era in which nobody takes accountability for anything. So for him to take accountability for it, I think is good. It doesn't help bring back Lieutenant Osborne. It doesn't necessarily help his family feel better, but this really is a time in which nobody is accountable for anything. So,
yeah. Well, and dealing with it as a misdemeanor for the accident, I guess I understand that to a point. He lost his job. He probably feels terrible about the whole situation, but yeah, I just don't see any excuse for that. David J. Said that there's an opening for an instructor position now that he might apply for. He doesn't have anything to do for the next 2 weeks. He said he works Monday through Friday normally. So
Yeah,
maybe he should be.
Take a vacation from the Navy and then work long enough for the Ohio Department of Corrections to watch a video on DEI and then go back to the Navy.
Yes, there's probably a lot of DEI because it's the Department of Rehabilitation and Corrections.
It was the Ohio DOC that we did our episode on last Friday about that guy walking away on Christmas.
Yeah. Yeah, I can't imagine going from California to Ohio would be any kind of upgrade there.
Who's crying?
It's my daughter.
Tell her to shut the hell up.
I'll drop kick her here soon.
What were you calling her before the show? I heard you yell her name and tell her to be quiet.
That's her. It's Clark. She's not nearly as well behaved as Dana. She doesn't listen to me. She's a mama's girl. So, John.
Yes.
It's almost that time of the episode to share some dad jokes.
Please don't do this while I'm driving. I will drive off the road. At least wait till I can get within 100 yards of a bridge piling so I can hit the gas.
John, what do you call a typo on a tombstone?
Epitaphographical error.
A grave mistake.
Mine was better. What's on your tombstone is an epitaph, and a typographical error is what a typo is. An epitaphographical error. Yes, mine was better.
John.
A grave mistake.
Here, you don't need to participate in this one. Bacon and Eggs walks into a bar. The bartender says, "Sorry, we don't serve breakfast."
You were breaking up. Thank God I couldn't hear it. I'm serious. I couldn't hear it. I'm sorry. I heard something about an Xbox going into a bar.
No, bacon and eggs walk into a bar.
Bacon and eggs going into a bar. Bartender says,
"We don't serve breakfast."
I can't hear you. Sorry.
I could hear you.
The jokes are for other. The jokes are for other people. They're not for me. So it's fine.
It's okay. Foxy liked that one.
All right, good for Foxy.
And David is, of course, reminding us that you always treat a weapon as it's loaded, so there's no reason to be pointing it at anyone, even if you think there's a blank.
That guy's got no excuse. Yeah, even open up the breech, you sweep your finger inside, you show everyone confirms that it's empty. You show everybody. Just being the instructor doesn't mean that you don't do that. In fact, you extra do that because you show them that's the proper way to handle fire. But even then, you never, ever pointed at anyone. Ever. That's like rule number 2 of range safety. Right? Like always treat it like it's loaded, like David said, but number 2, don't point a gun at anything you don't want to destroy.
Right. Yeah, and there's, even if you were trying to do some sort of dangerous maneuver like a mirror drill or have somebody walking in front of you or something, you'd think you'd have that barrel, make sure that it was completely cleared and there would be no reason to have your finger anywhere near the trigger. The irony being that he was teaching this lieutenant, giving this lieutenant instruction on firearm safety and ended up taking his life. So
it definitely did not make you better.
Foxy said sent that joke to her husband. She said she's waiting for him to laugh.
We're all waiting.
David likes the Jake jokes.
What are we doing on Friday?
On Friday, I had one that talks about a bunch of different cases similar to like you had before. People that have walked away from or escaped from jail and haven't been found. And I have another one we could probably break down. It's a pretty long video of like a stabbing incident.
Okay, I like video.
So maybe I will upload that one so we can do that. We can do it's been a while since we've broken down a video. I think that was like episode 2 or something. We did one of those.
Okay. Sounds good. Just if you need me to actually make it into an asset, just send it to me so I can do that. Otherwise, we'll just play it from the web.
Yeah, sounds good. And yeah, that's a stabbing incident that took. It's pretty graphic. Pretty good nightmare fuel for us.
Great. Whatever keeps me from sleeping.
Yep. Well, while you're on your exercise kick, we need to make sure that you're not sleeping.
Yes.
We need to make sure that we made your dreams as well as interrupting your healthy routine.
Why can't I have sexy dreams? I don't get it.
Falconator, she says, what do you call
Yes.
a nun on a bike, John?
I don't know.
Virgin Mobile. John's
All
covering
right.
his face.
Foxy, you almost killed me once before. And now you get to watch me die because of that horrible joke. Here we go. I'm gonna slam into the back of that truck. Because of you. You did this, Foxy! Foxy! All right. Oh shit, I'm actually about to die. All right.
Very distracted driving, John. Did you hear that there's a gang in town that are systematically shoplifting clothes in size order?
Yeah, it's called Californians. I mean, what's the joke?
The police believe they're still at large.
All right. See you on Friday, everybody.
Oh.
I'm getting on the interstate now, so the chances of me dying are much greater.
Okay. Well, appreciate you joining us, John. We'll see you Friday.
All right. I love you all, but not all the same. Bye.
Bye. All right, everybody. I think we're going to call it. Thank you, Christy, for joining us. I'm going to release this as a regular episode so everybody can listen here. So we won't all live stream John's death. All right, guys. Take care, and we'll catch you on Friday with a new episode of Hard Time.